Okay, so we live in a world absolutely swimming in data. But let's be real. Raw data almost never moves people. It's the stories we tell about that data, specifically those cause and effect stories, that actually change minds. Today, we're jumping right into this explainer to unpack a fascinating 2026 economic paper by Anastasia Berkovskaya and Igor Starkov. We're going to neutrally examine the precise mathematical mechanics behind how the media, politicians, and even advertisers use math to literally shape our reality.
Think about it. From political claims on Truth Social to, Snickers commercials, we are constantly bombarded by narratives that just confidently link cause and effect. A headline might scream, "Why investors are worried about Japan's bond market," or an ad tells you that eating their specific candy bar will instantly change your mood. Whether it's a politician making an economic claim or a brand pushing a product, these are all attempts at what we call causal persuasion. They are handing us a subjective model, basically a highly curated, specific version of reality that ties different variables together in a way that just makes sense to us. But how do these persuaders actually get us to buy into their specific version of cause and effect?
Well, we are going to anchor today's explainer around a massive, central mystery. Have you ever noticed how it is so incredibly easy to convince someone of a false narrative, yet absolutely computationally exhausting to debunk it? Like a completely fabricated, spin-heavy story can catch fire in the public consciousness literally overnight, but fact-checkers will spend months trying to dismantle it, and half the time they fail. It turns out this isn't just a quirk of human psychology. It is actually a mathematical certainty built right into how we process missing information. To really demystify the dense economics of this causal persuasion, let's look at a super relatable example straight from the paper, the MBA premium. We've all seen the numbers showing that people with MBAs tend to have higher lifetime earnings, right? But does dropping a ton of money on an MBA actually make you rich? Or are incredibly capable, soon-to-be rich people just more likely to go out and get an MBA? A business school obviously wants you to believe the first story, that their degree directly causes wealth. But an employer who's footing the bill for your degree, they might strongly suspect the latter.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the true, messy reality actually works. Imagine that your education and wealth are really just correlated through hidden variables. Let's say, in reality, the MBA degree itself doesn't increase your earnings by a single dime. Instead, underlying factors like your innate ability or killer social skills act as hidden common causes. These underlying traits push you to get an MBA, and those exact same traits cause you to earn more money. So, in this true reality, education and wealth are definitely connected, but there is no direct arrow pointing from one to the other.
And right here, this brilliantly illustrates the spin. The business school hides those messy realities. Instead, they cleverly introduce a brand new variable, let's say tenure or job experience, to create a sleek, completely fake arrow pointing directly from an MBA to wealth. By launching a promo campaign that links education, wealth, and tenure, they deliberately just leave out innate ability and social skills. Because of the mathematical relationship between the specific variables they did choose to show you, your brain looks at the data and logically concludes, wow, the only way this data works is if the MBA directly causes the wealth. They've successfully built a fake causal link just by selectively showing you one carefully chosen variable.
The researchers profile two types of targets for this kind of spin. First, you have the naive receiver. This person just accepts any story that fits the data without contradicting it. If they see a correlation, they'll believe it's causation. Easy. But what is truly terrifying is the second target, the sophisticated receiver. This is someone who rigorously analyzes the data and absolutely refuses to believe a narrative unless the math completely rules out reverse causality. Yet, even they can be logically tricked. Because the business school curated exactly which variables to put on the table, the sophisticated receiver's own rigorous ironclad logic mathematically traps them into believing the fake direct link. To understand exactly how this trick is pulled off under the hood, we have to talk about directed acyclic graphs, or DAGs. Basically, these are the mathematical blueprints of our causal stories. Think of a DAG like a giant puzzle or a map of nodes and arrows. The nodes are the variables, like wealth or education, and the arrows show the direction of cause and effect. The crazy thing? The persuader's power doesn't come from forging fake data. No way. It comes from knowing the true, massive map of the whole world and then just choosing a tiny, specific subset of those nodes to show you. By omitting key nodes, they fundamentally force your brain to alter how the arrows have to be drawn to make sense of the remaining picture.
So here is the million-dollar question. Once a business school or a politician builds this fake causal link in your mind using their carefully cropped map, how do you actually prove it's false? Put yourself in the shoes of the employer trying to convince your employee that the MBA won't actually make them better at their job.
You want to debunk that slick marketing campaign. It should be as easy as just revealing the truth, right? Well, not quite. Watch what happens when you try to debunk the myth by revealing just one truth. Say you reveal that hidden ability variable. The math still supports the fake red arrow from education to wealth. The employer points out, hey, innate ability causes both the degree and the wealth. But the employee looks at the data and goes, sure, I see ability as a factor, but actually, even when I account for ability, my MBA and my wealth are still correlated. Because the employer hasn't revealed the other hidden variable, social skills, there's still an unexplained correlation. The employee's mathematical model still demands that direct, fake red arrow to make sense of the remaining mystery.
And boom, this brings us to the massive, totally counterintuitive reveal of the paper. A persuader only needs one or two carefully chosen variables to fake a cause. But you must reveal every single common cause to dispel it. To build the lie, the business school just dropped in one variable, tenure, and locked in their fake arrow. But to break that arrow, the employer literally has to map out every single hidden trait, every ounce of social skill, work ethic, and background advantage that drives both education and wealth. If they leave even one confounder out, the fake direct link survives the data check. It's wild.
This astonishing mathematical proof completely flips classical philosophy on its head. It proves exactly why it is so much harder to disprove a lie than to tell one. You know, the philosopher David Hume noted that universal claims, like all swans are white, are incredibly hard to prove because you'd have to check every single swan on Earth. But they're super easy to debunk because you just have to find one single black swan. Well, causal claims are the exact opposite. Proving a fake cause is easy. Just selectively show one or two variables. Falsifying that fake cause is an absolute nightmare because you have to track down and prove the existence of every single black swan hidden variable in the universe.
The author summarized this beautifully, highlighting this fundamental asymmetry. Quote, establishing causality is often much easier than ruling it out. Deception is just mathematically easier than establishing the truth. And remember, this isn't some bug in human psychology. It's a feature of how we process statistical data. When you don't have the full picture, your brain mathematically builds a bridge to close the gap with a direct cause. And because the real world is infinitely complex, a persuader will literally always have an endless supply of variables to hide from you to keep their narrative alive.
So, knowing all this, knowing how easily the mathematical map can be rigged against you with just a few omitted variables, what seemingly obvious narratives do you need to question right now? The next time an advertiser, an executive, or a politician points to perfectly accurate data and says, look, X clearly causes Y, remember the map. Remember that they might just be showing you the nodes that draw their preferred arrow. What hidden variables are they leaving off the table? It's a mathematically exhausting world to navigate, for sure. But keeping your eyes wide open for the omitted variables is genuinely the only way to see the true map.